Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos, brought to you by his books. You need both of them, guys. The first one is Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Gives you an amazing overview of PED use, gives drug profiles, sample stacks, side effects, all the things you need to know before you get into that world of PEDs. Then, during quarantine, he wrote Training, Nutrition, Supplementation in Bodybuilding, so you know how to put all that together, because if you're not eating, training correctly and getting enough rest and all that, the drugs aren't going to make a big difference. And I use this opportunity to plug my book, Real Bodybuilding, Muscle Truth from 25 Years in the Trenches. All of these are available on Amazon.com. And now, from Athens, Greece, please welcome Dr. T, Dr. George Touliatos. How are you, Doctor?
Hi, Ron. How was in Atlanta or the Chicago, bro?
Yeah, great show. Great show. It was, I said it on our Instagram live. I've never seen the judges have such a hard time picking a winner. You've been to pro shows recently. You know they do a confirmation round at the finals, right?
Yeah.
So then they usually do a pose down and go into the awards. And it's over. This time they did the confirmation round, they did the pose down, and they said, we got to do it all over again. They judged
again,
and they put it, they left Akeem and Justin Rodriguez.
Now, I remember Akeem at the Arnold Classic. He was so huge, freaking monster.
Yeah.
Maybe he was not so much detailed, but he had a really thick muscles,
yeah.
both on top and in the leg department. You know, he was really massive.
I think that's part of the reason, because this Justin guy, he had better condition. He did. But Akeem's legs were so much better than Justin's. He's just got those nice sweeps and the thickness.
He reminds me a little bit of Brandon Curry, his physique.
Yeah, like a more swollen version. You know, the only thing is his lats are a little high, but I don't think it looks that bad.
Muscles, you know, full of glycogen.
Yeah.
Great volume.
He was about, I want to say he was about 265, 270,
he looked
something
big.
like that. But man, good show.
So he qualifies for next year?
No, that's for this Olympia.
This year.
This was the last show that you can qualify for the 2020 Olympia. So now we have Romania, the pro show in Romania. We have one in the UK, but those qualify you for 2021 Olympia.
So do you know now the official list, apart from the special limitations?
It should be, I haven't looked at it, but if you go to MrOlympia.com, there's a little section of that website called Qualified. It tells you everyone who's qualified in every division for this Olympia. And now we know who, because it was points. People were trying to get their own points, and now we know exactly who's in. The only one that didn't make it was Rami and Steve Kuklo. But I think they're going to get invitations, special invites. Yeah. Would you invite both of them if it was up to you?
Oh, yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
In order to fill up, the stage, but they're really good athletes, but they have to train also. I mean, they have to be in shape now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Rami was 100% ready for that Spain show, to be honest with you, looking at a couple of pictures, but he's got, it's almost 9 weeks now. He's got plenty of time. And Kuklo, I'm sure Kuklo never gets out of shape. So we'll see.
No, Kuklo did 2 shows in 6 months, Olympia and Arnold,
Right. Yeah, he's done it, and he gets in shape all the time. I just think they'll probably announce the special invitation fairly soon. I think they have to. So we'll know by.
What about Flex? I mean, it's so sad. Eh?
I haven't followed up on that. Have you? Did you hear anything about why?
No, it's a mystery, just if it's joint issues, muscle issues, or organ issue,
I doubt it's organ issues. I mean,
I bet he's not going to reveal, but in case something goes wrong, he had to discuss it with his coach and his wife. I guess it's not muscle joint issues, because you get a surgery like Dorian and do it or not. But discussing something should be about cardiovascular issues, I guess.
No, I mean, it could be an injury where he wanted to keep going. He might have like a slight tear, and he wants to still do the contest. And maybe Neil Hill and his wife are saying, "No, Flex, you're gonna destroy your body."
What I'm about Dorian? He didn't regret it, Dorian, though. He retired, but
yeah, he won that last Olympia, and his tricep was hanging on by like one thread.
Yeah. But I guess Nasser was better than him, huh? In the arms.
I wasn't there, but a lot of people felt Nasser should have won that last 1997 Olympia in Long Beach. Yeah. Because poor Dorian, he was getting muscle tears and all kinds of things happening to that guy as the years went on. Man, so while I was gone, you got 15 questions ready for you on this is episode 85. Wow, getting into senior citizen territory. Someday we're gonna grandmother who is what, 107? Wow. Is she the old? Let me ask you. Do you know? Is she the oldest person in Greece?
Not in Greece, but in the territory she lives. Yes, in the north suburbs, definitely she is.
Who's older than her in Greece? I mean, how much older could they possibly be?
I guess up to 110, I guess. But there are many people who live over 100 in a special island of Greece called
Really?
Ikaria. Yes, and the scientists haven't found what is the foundation of youth.
They might have an actual magic fountain of youth over there, right?
A herb that they eat it.
Well, I hate to get off topic, but in World War II, they found a village in Russia where they had like a bunch of people that were 120, 130 years old, but they found out it was all, they were fakes because they went back and used other people's birth certificates to get out of like getting into the wars or something. So they were lying. They weren't really that old. It was too good to be true. Yeah. But okay, this village in Greece, what's it called? Do you know? Or this island?
Ikaria.
Ikaria. So that's where you have a bunch of super old people, over 100. Wow. Must be the Mediterranean diet with the olive oil and everything. Yeah?
I guess so. A lack of stress, fresh air, organic food.
You guys have excellent weather, it looks like. So, all right. Let's get to the questions. And the first one is probably one of the best ones I've ever heard because I've never heard anyone ask this. Doc Touliatos, can I inject HGH pre and post workout with insulin at the same time and drink carbs, or do carbs blunt the HGH? Different people say different things.
Yeah, we have discussed there several times before. Now, according to my belief, initially when I was writing my books, I was thinking about don't messing up with the half-life of IGF-1, and because endogenous growth hormone release requires low insulin environment, then it shouldn't be very close together since the half-life of IGF-1 is 30 minutes. So wait for a window of half an hour. Inject first in a low glucose environment your GH, wait for 30 minutes, and then take your post-workout meal or your shake, and then inject for safety reasons your insulin. But some other gurus claim that as long as it's exogenous, it doesn't interfere with the metabolism. But my initial point is that if you inject growth hormone in a high glucose state, it's not so favorable for fat burning, because we know that fat burning occurs with low insulin and glucose environment, like the empty stomach cardio, for instance. And number two, because we know that growth hormone will favor hyperglycemia for the liver to the periphery, then by using GH after a meal or with a high glucose, then we trigger this insulin resistant and eventually the diabetes 2 environment. It's more favorable. Right. Chris Pistolas told me about what he's using, and he's using actually pre-workout insulin like the Milos, Right. This gives me a little bit of jacked, and afterwards he's also injecting his growth hormone. I believe that if you take insulin pre-workout, you have to be really well nourished with carbs, okay? Not to faint, not to feel drained. Right. Otherwise, you need also a solution with carbs. Now, sometimes this solution is really nasty to the stomach, and you feel extremely bloated. I've tried of Jay Cutler 5 years ago. His intra-carb solution was really something heavy to my stomach, because if it's hypertonic, it doesn't clear the stomach so rapidly like the isotonic ones. Right. And then let's say that you have a really high demanding, high volume season of leg workout, and you don't take enough carbs with your pre-workout insulin. You're gonna pass out. You're gonna faint. I experienced that 5 years ago with a 212 amateur who now is a pro. And he fainted in front of me because he pushed it to the limit. He injected pre-workout insulin, but he didn't take enough carbs, or he pushed it to the limit into the workout, So you run out of gas. And mind that if you want to take insulin, you're going to be super bloated in the workout. In the workout, you're going to feel jacked, but you need this fuel because insulin will lower your glucose, okay? We'll put it into the muscle, of course, but you have to be really prepared,
Now, would you still get the muscle building effect of the growth hormone if you did it in a high glucose environment, or no?
Sorry, say that?
Would you still get the muscle building benefits, which you would need higher dose of GH, but would you still get the muscle building benefits taking GH with carbs in your system in a high glucose environment.
I never tried that. When I inject my growth hormone, I do it first thing in the morning and also just before going to bed. Okay. And many people tell me that they're using IGF-1 post-workout because it's hypoglycemic.
Yeah.
And there are some guys that use the GH before hitting the legs, for instance. I have heard also other guys who are shooting the growth hormone post-workout with a hypoglycemic environment, you know?
Yeah.
I know that injecting insulin and GH favors IGF-1 production in the liver. So IGF-1 is further released when you combine growth hormone and insulin rather than growth hormone itself, okay?
Okay, gotcha. Hey, finish that story. That guy fainted in front of a medical doctor. So did you treat him on the scene? Did you pour soda down his throat?
He was also choking. He was using Trembolone, of course. And I thought it was kind of asphyxia because of the Trembolone cough and because his VO2 max was low, you know?
Yeah.
Actually, when we went to the States together, he was injecting salbutamol when he was taking the stairs. You know, he was also a smoker. This is not smart to do. But later, during the dinner, when we sat and had a dinner, he said that it must have been the misconception about insulin, the units of insulin, and the amount of carbs he had.
Yeah.
You know?
So careful with insulin.
And you have to see the fingers of these guys, you know, they're like junkies. They inject the fingers here in order to calculate the blood glucose in every meal. Can you imagine that? In every meal you're pinning yourself.
No.
This is crazy. Yes.
Oh man. Let's get to another one. Dr. T, why do coaches and doctors recommend taking aspirin while on equipoise? I know it has something to do with red blood cells and hemoglobin, but does the platelets have to be at a certain number to administrate aspirin?
Yes, equipoise is notorious that it favors erythrocytosis. Of course, every steroid does, but in a high degree with boldenone equipoise, which is for veterinary use, originally from South America.
Yeah.
And platelets now have an important role because if platelets are kept low, and we have to know that aspirin does not interfere with number of platelets, but deactivates platelets aggregation. Now, when platelets are kept low, below 200,000, for instance, 150,000, which is the lowest limit, then it's less favorable to form some clotting, you know, and thrombosis.
Yeah.
So it is wise to use aspirin salicylic acid when hematocrit and red blood cells and hemoglobin, of course, elevates as a blood thinner, you know, anticoagulant. All right.
Yeah.
So the viscosity is less troublesome with less trouble with aspirin rather than having also platelets you know, be active, and perhaps there's a problem afterwards with some clotting effect.
Right.
The point is, when you use aspirin, you have to be really aware when you cut your face during shaving, you know, because the bleeding is gonna prolong.
Yeah, we've all been there. Man, so many people want to know what kind of drugs they can buy in Greece. I guess they all plan on coming there to just buy drugs and then go home. I don't know. Because this guy wants to know, is it possible to buy HCG in Greek pharmacies without a prescription?
Yes, absolutely. You can buy Ovitril in $35 of 6,000 IUs. However, this is super expensive related to 5 years ago when you could buy 5,000 IUs with $5 only.
Wow. You know, you can buy it here. I didn't get it, but I looked it up one time, and you can get it here online. I don't think they're
online. The point is, Ron, do you trust something which has to be refrigerated online?
Probably not. You know, anytime, especially when they're delivering it in the hot summer months, and it's sitting inside like a UPS or a FedEx truck for days, and it's 100 degrees or something, I'd be a little worried about the.
If you want to verify if it's legitimate, your HCG, you have to pee on a test of birth control. Yes.
Yeah. So you as a man could pee on that, and if it's really CG, you're going to come up as pregnant.
Yes, this is
awesome. Somebody out there, you got to make a video of that and put it online. It'd be hilarious.
They collect female pee make out HCG, you know?
Yeah, I think they used to get it from nuns back in the old days for some reason. Maybe they were the only ones. I don't know.
It's produced by the placenta during pregnancy.
Okay, well then it wasn't nuns. These would have to be pregnant women. So, okay, next one is, can Dr. T advise or recommend any medications or supplements beside HCG and HMG to increase LH level for fertility purposes? If so, what dosage and timing is best?
No, I guess HMG is both FSH and LH, but it's the first medication. It is the best medication, human menopausal gonadotropin.
Yeah.
HCG also helps. Okay, it's an LH mimicker. You can also perhaps use some Proviron that in paper, as Connor said, it elevates FSH. Also, you can use a tocopherol vitamin E, which is fat soluble at 400 or 800 IUs with meals. Okay, this improves the flagella of the spermatozoa, the motility, you know,
Yeah,
of the flagellum. And I think zinc also, it may contribute to prostatic fluid and also seminal fluid. That's all. Also, you have to avoid tight pants and tight underwear because they increase the temperature in the testicles, and testicles have to be really in a cool environment. You know, that's why they're hanging out of the body, because there's no heat. Yes, yes.
Okay. I always wondered about that because I thought, why can't they just be inside? That way nobody can punch you or kick you in them and hurt you, you know? They'd be way up in your body.
If they're inside, they die because of the heat, you know?
Yeah, okay. Now I understand because I never understood. Why do they have to be outside? Just put them way deep in the body somewhere.
The bigger the balls, the more sperm you have. Doesn't mean that you're going to have more testosterone, because 90% of the balls create sperm, only 10% testosterone by the latex. Okay, so if you have huge nuts, then you're gonna come tons, you know.
You're gonna be a great point. Well, you could shoot big loads, but you need the big penis too. Anyway, let's move on. What is the hardest drug on hair loss? Is it Masteron or Primobolan?
I think it's Masteron and Proviron that are synthetic DHT, and also Primo, Winstrol, and Anavar are also derivatives, synthetic derivatives of DHT. But in first place, it's methanolone and drostanolone, but also stanozolol, methanolone, and oxandrolone.
So that's a lot of different drugs. So all of them basically are gonna be rough on your hair. Dang, all those ones. Okay. I'm a bodybuilder and I have really high CPK. I weigh 105 kilograms for 175 centimeters, 10% body fat. My CPK are 1400 UI over L. Seems like rhabdomyolysis. Any advice?
How big is he?
He's 105 kilos at 175 centimeters, 10% body fat.
This guy is big. Now we have to know that the more muscle you carry, so the greater the BMI. But when we refer to BMI, obviously we mean lean body mass, not be fat. So he has a BMI, I guess, of over 30. Now, when you carry more skeletal muscle, we know that muscles contain creatine. That's why they're called. That's how creatine gets the name from creas, which is muscle in Greece. Meat, yes. So more muscles practically mean more creatine we need within, okay? Now this creatine obviously will metabolize to creatinine, but also as you contain more muscles, then obviously your CPK is going to be affected to a higher degree than to a skinny guy of 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, so the phenomenon of the rupture will be tremendous to a guy with 300 pounds than to a guy of 150 pounds. That's why the enzyme elevates more to bigger guys, and also creatinine, because this creatinine will metabolize. So what I suggest him, of course, under rhabdomyolysis, you have to rest for 2 days at least, 48 hours. Take plenty of glutamine, which is really good for anticatabolic effect, but also for recovery. Even though it's not essential amino acid, it's the most abundant amino acid. You have to rest, hydrate a lot, because the myoglobin that comes out of the skeletal muscle may torture the kidney glomerulus.
Yep.
And Nothing else. When you rush to the hospital with 4-digital CPK, they put you into intravenous saline. So they have to dilute your plasma, hydrate a lot, and rest.
Is 1400 a very high CPK?
No, really, no, really.
No. Okay. All right. Cool.
My highest right after the quarantine was 5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
What?
I've seen 15,000.
15,000.
Yeah, there were some guys working in the fields, and they felt like run by a train.
Wow.
And yeah, they went for 1 week in the hospital. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. So 1400 guy, I think you're okay. Next question. I just found out that my father, who's 60, has been taking L-thyroxine for 30 years to treat his thyroid problems. What can the doc say about this drug? Is it good? Do you recommend it?
Well, it's the basic thyroid hormone, and also it metabolizes to T3, which is triiodothyronine, the active form and the stronger form of thyroid hormones. But usually under elevated TSH and hypothyroidism, endocrinologists prescribe thyroxine, which is able to convert to T3 also.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's less potent on the heart, and it has a higher half-life, a longer half-life of T3. So you need once a day rather than T3 that may require more frequent dosing.
Okay, cool. Proviron. Can Proviron at a dose of 25 to 50 milligrams a day be used to control estrogen at a testosterone dosage of 250 milligrams per week?
Yes, you can use Proviron AM and PM split it, every 12 hours.
Yep.
It's not toxic. And it's rather safe at 50 milligrams a day. And it has, of course, an estrogenic effect as DHT,
Yeah.
So it's better than using a aromatase inhibitor. It has no such side effects, but of course it's less potent than aromatase inhibitor.
Hair loss. But yeah, what are you going to do? Everything's got side effects. All right. Youngster says, I'm 21. I got a blood test done and my DHEAS was 612 UG/DL. The reference range is 164 to 530. Is this something to be concerned about? Does it have to do with my cortisol being high?
Yes, I guess so. Now, cortisol and DHA are produced from the adrenals. So under stress, also, I guess so, DHA is also elevated. Okay. Yes.
Gotcha. Here we go. SARMs. Can adding SARMs like RAD 140 on a cruise TRT dose of 150 milligrams testosterone per week lead to increased estradiol than normal by occupying the androgen receptors and making free testosterone aromatize more?
I have no experience in SARMs.
Okay. Let's scratch that one. Scratch. Hey, doctor, what is your view on AMP, adenosine monophosphate, as a pre-workout, 2 milliliters intramuscular? What do you use as a pre-workout, doctor, and how much?
So I'm aware so far of the injectable ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. So which is phosphocreatine injectable into the muscle, but this is highly distributed among track athletes and sprinters before 100 meter. There was a case, 1982 Athens European Championships of Athletics. Yeah. And they told me that there was in the finals, just before the final warming up, for instance, half an hour ago, one of the sprinters injected into his delt phosphocreatine. The others were watching, like he was injecting a steroid, for instance, but it was ATP, it was C phosphate, creatine phosphate. Yeah. And also there were some supplements that claim to have ATP in powder form. Right. I'm not sure if that exists. I'm not using stimulants. I'm not using nitric oxide products because they give me a nasty irritation and itchy feeling. Also, they are good, but I avoid them, and I rather use a black coffee. And I'm using creatine monohydrate post-workout. So I'm not so in fond of creatine pre-workout rather than monohydrate post-workout for best assimilation and to fill the stores for the following workout. Okay. Yeah. Because monohydrate works only with carbs and insulin, And if you take, my belief is if you take creatine and caffeine, you're gonna diurate it.
Mm. Now, what about caffeine and creatine together? Bad news? Is that what you said?
I think so. There are others who claim not, but if you take iron, for instance, and caffeine, you're gonna diurate the iron. So caffeine blocks vasopressin or a diuretic hormone, and you flush everything. You know.
Yeah. Interesting. Question for Doc. I want to restore my hypothalamus pituitary gonad axis, which was shut down. Doctors recommend using HCG. Not to torture myself for a long time, but doesn't HCG create endogenous testosterone? Then how will the brain detect the absence of testosterone in the first place?
I don't understand, but this guy wants to have a PCT. So
Yeah,
by
it sounds
HCG,
like
we kick the balls, but we don't kick the brain. In order to kick the brain afterwards, after we kick the balls, we need the SERMs.
Okay.
So actually, HCG shut off the brain because it's a late mimicker and analog, and it kicks the intratesticular testosterone. Step 2, and now plan B, the next phase is to kick the brain, okay, that has been shut off with HCG in order to stimulate the testosterone production. So it comes in two different phases that work antagonistically. Number one, you have to use HCG, and number two, you have to use the SERMs, but one after the other.
Okay. SERM like Novadex or Clomid?
Yes, and low dose.
Gotcha.
Okay. Low dose.
For like 50 milligrams a day?
25, even less.
Okay, gotcha. Man, another MK677. That's another SARM, isn't it?
No, this is a stimulator of GHRH.
Oh, okay. Well, here we go. When taking MK677, can it risk shutting down the endogenous production of growth hormone? I know that taking Arginine before bedtime can help boost GH levels. Maybe this will help.
Now, MK677 is supposed to be growth hormone releasing hormone, secretagogue, so actually boosts your endogenous, but don't expect so many things besides recovery, recuperation, perhaps some anti-aging longevity, but let's say if you take some of it, I mean, how much you're going to produce 1 IU of GH, like injecting. But regarding to Arginine, in order to see if your pituitary gland releases growth hormone, so the stimulation by Arginine comes intravenous of 15 grams of Arginine. So by swallowing 5 grams of Arginine that actually stinks, it's going to be degraded down in the stomach, and I doubt if it's going to have any positive effect. So they have to put intravenously 15 grams of Arginine to stimulate your pituitary.
Better off getting some growth hormone, right? If you're going to do all that, stick something in your veins anyway. Okay. This is a question. I've never heard a good answer for this, so let's see. Do you think a person will eventually need to increase a TRT and GH dosage as time goes on? In other words, will their body become used to that same dose over the years?
No, I don't think so, but you have to know that smaller frame guys require less hormone. Bigger frame guys with large BMI, for instance, somebody is 6'6" and he's 300 pounds, needs 250 milligrams rather than a small guy of 5'7" and 150 pounds.
How dare you?
5'7". And GH also, yes, goes downhill after your 40s. So you have to replace it. They work synergistically, but I don't think you're going to need more. Okay. Besides, it's not about enhancement. It's about optimization and longevity,
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, so if say you're on 150 milligrams of test right now, doctor, 10 years from now, do you think that same 150 milligrams will have the same effects for you?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, as you age, do you live the same with the same intensity? Do you get laid the same times per week?
Geez, I would hope so, but I mean, that's a whole other show, man. Okay. Last question, doctor. What is your opinion on the use of anti-hypertension drugs on a cycle? IECA and or ARA2. I don't even know what those are. If they're anti-hypertension drugs.
Yes, if there is any need, and if your systolic is over 140 and your diastolic is over 90, and this is based on aldosterone. So instead of that, you may avoid exogenous table salt, and taking too much of gear that will stimulate aldosterone. Of course, stimulants also is another point. You can also take extra potassium, 1 to 2 grams per day, in order to excrete the sodium.
Yeah.
Now, arginine and sertraline may vasodilate and give a little bit of hypotension. But personally, I'm in fond of losartan that lowers also hematocrit. I don't have problem with blood pressure, but if I had problems with blood pressure, I would take losartan because it has some promising effects, lower hematocrit.
Yeah. Okay.
Another thing about the previous question, that if you see the how much the optimal testosterone levels each decade. Now, if you go up to 60s, the upper limit is 750.
Yeah.
Now, in your 40s would be 850, and if you're in your 30s would be 950, in your 20s 1050. So you see, as we age, they decline.
But I could answer that with, well, I'm 60, but I want to have the hormone levels of a 20-year-old. Why not? Yeah. I guess it's you'd be taking a greater risk using more testosterone to achieve that level.
Well, I guess it's not realistic for your age. But I mean, frankly, who has 750 at 60 years old natural? Nobody.
Yeah, I don't think there's
now,
many.
If you compare yourself with your 20s, this is a wrong correlation, you know?
Yeah, well, some of us don't want to get old, Doc. I don't want to get old. I mean, look at that. Look at that beautiful hair of yours. Look at how many. I wish I had that right now. Jeez.
But when you have a reunion with your schoolmates, I mean, you look the most fresh guy, you know?
Yeah. It's true. Have you been? I assume they have high school reunions in Greece too, right?
Yeah, we had next year. We're gonna have the 35 years.
Oh wow. When was the last one you went to?
It was 2016 was the 30 years again. No, the 25 years. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Some of them look bald, overweight.
Yeah.
You know, fat, ugly.
Is it crazy
Of course,
though?
I'm the only one who does HRT. You know.
Really? It's not popular over there? Okay, but I mean, it's crazy that sometimes the people that were like the best looking in high school, they're the ones who look the worst now.
No,
And some
I
of the
just
people.
accidentally met two of my schoolmates last weekend.
Huh.
Just on my way to the gym, they were drinking coffee.
Huh.
Both of them, they're really good looking back then, hunks,
Yeah.
very athletic, and one of them actually won the sports award. Man, he looked horrible today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough when you
He was
peak at
broken
18 years.
down.
Yeah. So that's what they say, you peaked in high school about some people, because that was the best they ever looked.
They get toasted.
Yeah. Wow. It's good to be young looking and fit and healthy, isn't it, doctor?
Yeah, I mean, life is endurance race. You know, it's not about sprinting.
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon, yes.
You invented marathons in Greece, I believe. Yes.
Yes.
It was actually the Battle of Marathon or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, 490, I think. 408.
Some guy had to run 26.5 miles to tell them that they lost or something.
And then he died, yeah. They won. They won and then he died.
Oh, they won. Yeah. You runners out there, God love you. I don't want to run. Ugh, no way. Well, that's it, Doc. That's all our questions for this week. Thank you so much. And we're going to have Dr. T Tuesday again. We're going to have another quiz. What is this, another PED quiz?
No, it's Q&A. If does muscle growth in the long term may lead to cancer, perhaps?
Oh, God. Okay. Well, we better read that. I got to check that out. So that's Dr. T Tuesday on musculardevelopment.com. You can also check out the doctor's website, gtoul.com. And of course, pick up those books at amazon.com that we talked about.
And I have a surprise. Huh? Probably next Monday, we're going to have Rick Collins as a guest.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we got to talk about that. All right, let's stop recording so we can talk about that. All right, everybody, leave your comments in leave your questions in the comments under this video, please, and we'll get to as many as we can. Try to keep your questions on the briefer side. Makes it easier for us to help a lot more people every week. And that's it. We appreciate you guys watching. Ask Dr. Testosterone. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.